Okay, so now it's January 28th, 2021. I Googled on YouTube PeepsFashion, April 10th, have them together. Now, I did that. I normally have done that. I've always had them together, you can see. But for whatever reason, there was one in there with a space. It doesn't come up if there's a space in between the two. It only comes up if you put them together. Yesterday, I did that. It wasn't coming up for me. So, who's ever got my file on their desk, tweaked their source code, or maybe my eyes just didn't pick up on it. I don't know, people. All I know is we're back. We're back in business. I don't know what kind of business, but we're into some kind of business. Whoops, sorry. So, right, you can see main channel. Okay. Coming in under the main channel as well. Okay. I'm not sure what I'm going to do now. There's not a lot of videos on this channel. You can see there's only 13 videos. I had a few people from New Nations Unity come over and subscribe because I'm moving over to this channel, you know, for whatever reason, because of what YouTube was doing with my main channel there for a bit. Like I said, I tried to keep it very generic, very light in terms of the last few videos that I've done. I don't know. It's really hard to separate. It's nice to see that this one's coming up under PeepsFashion. Right? Truth for Reality. Okay. Has my support 100%. He's respectful. Right? Before he does anything, he always asks. He just doesn't take it upon himself to do whatever. You can see it's coming in under New Nations Unity, which is fine. Now, some of these outfits I still have, believe it or not, after all these years. They've just been hanging in the closet. Auntie ShaMay's closet. Right? Now, I don't know how I'm going to turn this channel around and make it, I don't know. In one way I have creative skills, in other ways I don't. So, point is it's back. Okay, so calm down. I need to calm down. See, you don't want to do it that way, because if you do it that way, it's not going to come up. Do you see that? It didn't come up. So, if you're ever looking for PeepsFashion, make sure it's a Peeps more than one. Shout out to the ladies in the hood. Alright. Peeps on the rise. Bring it together. Sorry, wandering eye. And then do your YouTube search, and it comes up. Okay. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't know why people find this one so fascinating, but look how many views that one has. It's embedded somewhere. It's embedded somewhere, and yeah, people come in and cut me up all the time for trying to do the right thing for a stray cat. That was the time when Andre was wrongfully apprehended, and on that day, I was supposed to be taking a ferry to Victoria to go to a, what is that called? A seminar. Right? To figure out for a way to fight for my grandson because of what was going on. And instead of taking that money and going on the ferry, because I only had a little bit of money, and spending a day in Victoria at that seminar, I ended up taking that cat to the vet. And unfortunately, I had to put that cat to sleep, because otherwise it would have costed me thousands of dollars just to figure out what the hell was wrong with it. And I didn't have that kind of money. So, anyway, I just wanted to point this out. Okay? This year coming up, like this spring, this summer, right? I have to work in the yard. I have to finish up with the big pond, which I just, I should be getting on Saturday a delivery of filters that are specifically made for ponds, and 2 of them, which would be good because this is a bigger pond, right? And a pond liner, it's not as big as what I've got, but I'm pretty sure I can piece it into what I've already dug out somehow, some way, right? Because you have to remember, I have to try and make this thing raccoon-proof, right? I don't know how I'm going to do that. Raccoons like water, and they like to swim, and they like fish. Because I want fish in this pond. But we know Matilda lives in the yard and is always having her babies here every year, year after year, right? I mean, for the last 3-4 years, I've had baby raccoons born in my yard, so I don't know how that's going to work with a fish pond. But anyway, the fish pond is getting done. And my son picked up these stacking stones, which apparently are quite nice. They were free, so it didn't cost me anything, which I'll be using as a, decor with the pond, right? So got to finish the pond, right? Got to finish the lettuce room, aka Mr. Lace's cat house, right? Just a few touch-ups, the plastic roofing on the main greenhouse, it flew off. So I have to put that back on, because I didn't staple down, didn't hammer, the trim to hold down the plastic, so that flew off in the wind. Obviously, I still have a few X-Club repairs to do. I don't know what I'm going to do about that leaky roof. I mean, that's the biggest problem, but besides that point. And then, of course, we still got a bit of leak in the shed over there, right? And you just, it is what it is, people. Have to lay down all the bricks, right? Get the bricks as I'm working on the pond. The pile of bricks that are there, they're going to be laid out wherever, whether it's a walkway or whether it's building up, a fence around the pond to keep mainly the raccoons out, I don't know. So I don't know how much sewing I'm going to get done, honestly. Right? I do want to take some outfits in the next month or two, and Tisha and I are going to put them on mannequins. Maybe somebody might model a few for me. I don't know what's going to happen on YouTube. Are they going to age restrict my video, knowing that if they age restrict my video, people will be less apt to watch the video, right? That's the way it works. Even though you can go on YouTube and find a whole lot of other stuff that is a whole lot more raunchier than anything I've ever done when it relates to my outfits, okay? And but again, it goes back to that shadow banning, that oppression, that poverty, manufactured poverty, keeping the thumb on people so that they can't fucking do anything. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I just do know that I do want to, over the next couple of months, bring out the outfits, put them on mannequins, have somebody model them for me, do a little something, get them on, I guess PeepsFashion. We'll try and build up the PeepsFashion channel a little bit. I don't know. I really don't know how to build it up. I don't, and I just don't know what I'm doing, people. Okay? I just know I'm doing something. Right? Right? That's why I went back to my main channel, because I don't want to put too much like when I do the puppet, when I make the puppet house, I'll probably put it on the PeepsFashion because, we'll be making curtains for it and stuff. So it's still kind of sewing related. But when it comes to community issues and public issues and, like societal issues in regards to illegal organ harvesting and that kind of stuff, right? whether I have experience with that topic or not, I'm keeping that kind of like on my main channel, but that puts my main channel in jeopardy of being wiped out because of the type of severity around those topics that people don't want coming to light, basically, right? They don't want the idea of illegal organ harvesting happening in the Western world so rampant. They don't want that coming to the surface and being exposed, how it's being done through public hospitals, or even private hospitals for that matter, right? But usually through public facilities, because you can't take out organs from a human body in a butcher shop, right? You know, it's not poor people that are actually cutting into the body and taking out the organs. It is highly skilled surgeons, oftentimes coming from other countries, that somehow have infiltrated our public sector to facilitate these activities which are sold on the black market, okay? People hear about it, they might briefly talk about it, but they don't really want to bring it to the surface and expose it. Never mind, keep it up in the surface. So my main channel is this channel, because I'm put this up on this channel because I'm going to correct the wrong that happened yesterday. In other words, if YouTube did shadow ban PeepsFashion channel, they've reversed that simply because I called them on it. Because I'm pretty sure I was Googling with April said, put the two words together, PeepsFashion together. I did that. I was still coming up with nothing. So, but today, now, my channel for the PeepsFashion is back. I just can't go on and on and on about illegal organ harvesting, or, you know, the underground economy, or you know, how this so-called virus that we're facing, that's bringing in communism, basically, is, you know, being manufactured with analogs through chemistry and synthetic products in order to, right, da-dee-dee-da-da. That's not really what I want to put on my PeepsFashion, right? You know, I'm trying to just build up like the good old days, right? You know, like the good old days, but YouTube makes it extremely hard. Because if I bring in anything too sexy, oh boy, they want to oppress that, people, right? They want to oppress that. They don't want, they want control of it, and this is where there's a conflict. They don't have a right to control my creativity and my way of operating, right? Especially when you can Google this and Google that on YouTube and come up with shit that's 10 times worse than anything I would ever do when it comes to fashion, I guess you could say, right? So I'm not out of the woods yet, and with the yard coming, spring coming, that kind of stuff coming, you know, I don't expect to have too much time to sew. Don't forget, next month, February, I'm going to the courthouse, right? Get a little bit of direction in how to actually serve the lawsuit to the government, because I forgot. It's been a while since I've served anybody when I filed Uncle John's lawsuit, right? And then, of course, once I serve them, they're going to call me into court, and then they're going to try and throw it out of court, people, right? We know how that works. And don't forget, these are the Attorney General and the Solicitor Attorney General, so I don't think that they'll show up to court. They'll have their lawyers show up to court, right? I mean, of course, I'm not going to put that up on PeepsFashion. I would put that up on this main channel as I go through that process, right? Among everything else that I do in a day or talk about. So anyway, I just wanted to say that if there was a wrong, and maybe that's how I'll I'll label this video if there was a wrong, YouTube corrected it. Okay? Because I'm pretty sure I had the two words together yesterday. Yes, I had them separate. Doesn't work if you Google PeepsFashion with the words separate. You won't get anything. But if you put the two words together, for sure, it seems to be coming up right now. Yesterday, it did not for me. Right? Because I'm dealing with somebody that's vindictive and spiteful that's on YouTube staff. For whatever reason, and honestly, I think they've been around for a long time. This shit started with Uncle John when basically, it was starting in a little bit with Andre. It was starting in just, you know, not as hardcore. Let me stick it to you, like when Uncle John went missing, right? But then, you know, when Uncle John was medically kidnapped, that was a whole different ball game. All of a sudden, we're talking about health authorities, banks, CIBC Bank, right? You know, Fraser Health Authority. It just simply wasn't MCFD, Ministry of Children and Family Development. We're getting into major corporations like a banking system, you know, a health authority. So the gang stalking really picked up then. Hold on. Okay, so I'm going to finish this video. First of all, I want to say that I'm extremely mad, okay? Because what happens is, as parents grow up, right, and their kids grow up, and their kids seem to think that they know everything, what happens is kids, they try to overrun the parents. Maybe not for everybody, but if, you know, they always say single parent, you know, it's not a good idea to be one, because what happens is your kids grow up, and because there's no man with the authority, you know, I'm pup, you listen to dad, you know, right? These kids that you bore and raised, they grow up thinking they can take over your freaking life, people. Okay, in a nutshell, this is what I've been battling with for a while, among other things, right, in terms of the yard and, you know, and just whatever, okay. You know, my kids, my remaining children that are still alive, right? Because I've lost two, right? I mean, obviously, we're all emotional over the terrible things that have happened in our life, okay? And we all trying to navigate around that and get on with our own lives and, you know, try not to feel guilty if you're having a good time or you're doing something that makes you feel good, because when you're suffering inside, right? Because of death or injury or harm or whatever it is, right? You know, you feel guilty for getting on with your life because the other person isn't there able to get on with their life. Through that grief and loss and anger and everything that people feel when death occurs and medical kidnappings and all this other shit, okay? So, all right. I, myself, me, the adult, right, who raised 5 kids, okay? And I'm pushing 60 years old. I'm kind of trapped in my life right now. I've been trapped for the ones that watch me, right? Veronica, Lucy, April, right? You know, a few other people, right? They know that I'm trapped in my life, right? As an aging person with a lot of responsibilities, because I have grandchildren now in my care. It's not just simply me with grown kids. It's me with grandkids and still basically housing adult kids. Although they don't see themselves as kids, which is fine. I understand that. You're grown now. But at the end of the day, when you're a parent, those will always be your kids, right? Doesn't matter what age you are. If you have kids and you're 80 years old, you're still going to call your kids kids. And the kids, they don't like that. Well, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm an adult. Yeah, okay. I understand that. But at the end of the day, there's a reason why kids are supposed to respect their parents. So I have to battle to fight to be able to live my own life, people. Literally, I battle with my kids, my adult children, to let me live my life for the few years that I have left, whether they're 2 years or 20 years. Okay? Let me sort out my life, right? You know? Let me get a handle on this fabric. Whether I sew it, whether I sell it, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with it. I just know I need to do something with it. Let me finish up with the yard for that peace of mind that I did it and that it was the right thing to do in terms of what I've done in this yard. Right? I'm down to the last stretch, people. Okay? The last couple of years, I haven't gotten that much help because I've had Amari with me. Right? It's not like I can go out in the yard and spend 10 to 12 hours, right? 3-4 days a week, 5 days a week, like the good old days until I got Amari. When I got Amari, you know, I can't work outside like I was, right? So I got behind. But this year I'm getting close, okay? I can't move, people. My kids can move. But I can't move. My kids can die and disappear and never be seen again. But I can't do that until my time comes. And I tell my remaining kids that when I'm dead, I don't care what the fuck you do with this shit, because I won't be here to see it. Right? But in the meantime, let me deal with my own mess, I guess you could say. My own problems, my own life. Let me sort it out in my own way before I completely lose everything via through death or who knows with this government that's running around these days, criminalizing people over the drop of a dime. Right? For breathing. Don't breathe! Go back into my videos. I was saying that a long time ago. Don't breathe! Well, now people are really hearing that now because they're not allowed to fucking breathe unless they're in a fucking mask. If they take off the mask, they got fucking 10 cops jumping on them, beating them up, hauling their ass off to fucking jail. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? Okay? I'm at the point in my life, people, where if I go to the grocery store, I don't have to buy very much. Right? So I'm learning to... Oh, I made this beautiful soup. It was a beef soup with stuff in the house. Carrots, shredded carrots from 2011 mixed in with some fresh carrots. Some of those things that I have in containers from 2011, like the, what is it called? The yams and the cauliflower and that kind of stuff. The celery that I just did last year, right? 5 months ago. Because the celery was on sale. I made this beautiful, wonderful, great tasting soup, people. And I used a half an onion that was fresh and a few carrots. Everything else was in my house. You know what my kids want me to do? They want me to take Auntie ShaMay's room because Tisha's thinking about moving out at some point within the year. Fair enough. Move along. Right? Okay? So that means we have to rent out a room. Thing is, Tisha's in the small room. Okay? Right? The one that initially was Sierra's. And then when Sierra got kicked out, ShaMay had to move downstairs into Sierra's room. Right? Because we had to provide a room for Andre to get him back from foster care, which that room sat for 15 months fucking empty waiting for Andre. Basically, as I moved Uncle John upstairs into Tisha's room, right? Because Auntie Joan had gone to long-term care, so Uncle John couldn't be downstairs no more. So then Tisha went downstairs into the bigger room. So we had ShaMay in the smaller room, Tisha in the bigger room, with Mark Hain always in the same room that he's been in for the last 10 fucking years. But besides that point, right? And then, obviously, ShaMay died, right? I had Andre. Right? So Andre's upstairs, right? Then ShaMay died, right? Okay? Because the girls ended up switching rooms after the baby was born. I tried to get the girls to switch the rooms before the baby was born in terms of Amari, but for whatever reason they were bickering. Nobody wanted to change anything. Baby came, then it was like decided that they were going to switch rooms. That's how ShaMay ended up at fucking Julia's mother's house for 3 days. Because she was supposed to be upstairs in her room as the girls were switching the rooms, right? But, you know, Julian and his sister were coming to my house and fucking bum rushing ShaMay at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. Till finally I had to ask ShaMay to go downstairs. And then that's when they took their cue to fucking convince ShaMay to go to his mother's house for a couple of weeks, or whatever it was, until the girls were done switching over the rooms. And as soon as they got over there, they demanded fucking for ShaMay to start paying rent. Right? And then within 3 days, not even 2 days, 3 days, ShaMay was back home because Julian was fucking manhandling her and picking a fucking fight as they were pressing the fucking button on the federal freaking forms to take her name off of Amari's birth certificate. ShaMay left everything fucking behind. That's when Julian's sister stole ShaMay's phone and still has it probably till this day. So the point is after ShaMay died, you know, we had to rent out that room, right? So Mark Kane had a friend come in, ShaMay, and rented out ShaMay's room, which is the bigger room, right? He lived for about a year or whatever it was. And then, of course, I was getting pressure from my landlady to, you know, pay an extra $100 a month when she decided to raise the rent. So I'm like, I need more money because, you know, the rent is going up by $100 fucking dollars, right? A month. And like, he didn't like that. So he ended up moving out, which is fine. And then that's when I took over ShaMay's room. And it's Auntie ShaMay's room, right? Initially, I wanted sewing in there with a little bit of food storage, right? But the sewing part isn't working. Although I have fabric in there. I have my costumes in there. Costumes that I want to pull out of the fucking closet and do something with because they've been hanging there since 2005. You do the math, people. Some of those things were made in 2005. That's like 15 years old. Hanging under plastic. Okay? As I'm being like, you know, you got too much, you need to do something with it. Well, I'm trying to do something with it, but nobody's fucking helping me with it. Instead, what they want me to do now, what my son wants me to do, with my daughter's blessings, is clear out ShaMay's room after Tisha moves out, right? Put everything in the small room, which is too hot, people. That room is too hot. It will pop all my jars. That's the first fucking thing. I won't be able to have any kind of food storage in that room because of the way the venting system works, right? And let somebody else move in that my son will choose so that we can live. By then, Tisha will move out, right? It'll be my son, whoever he has as a roommate down there in the bigger room, which is going to fuck up my shit, right? As I'm expected to take care of my fucking shit, right? Get ready for death. Or whatever it is that my fucking kids want from me, outside of they can't leave me alone and let me live my own life. So I said to my son, I'm not doing that. We got the small room. That's fine. You can rent out that one. Personally, I don't want to rent it out. I want to turn it into a little mini office to be able to sort through this shit so I can fucking sell it, do something with it. But no, I'm told I can't do that because I can't afford it. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know what I can afford? If I'm willing to cover the rent, you got nothing to fucking say about it because the last time I checked, you only pay $600. I cover everything else. So if I figure I can cover that $600 because I don't have to buy fucking food because I got fucking food in my house now, people, let me do it so I can sort through the shit so that you won't curse me in my grave when I'm dead for leaving this shit behind. Instead, you want me to mix everything all up, stuff it into one fucking room so I can fucking pop the jars and just rot everything. And then find something else to bitch on about. I'm not doing this fast enough. I'm not doing that fucking fast enough. I'm not doing that good enough. I'm you. I'm like, go away. My son said, well, I'm moving out then, if you don't switch rooms. And I'm like, go ahead. Go ahead. Right? Well, I don't know. I think about it. Because I said, well, when are you moving? Right? When are you moving? I'll fucking cross that bridge when I get to it. I remind my kids that before they were even born, I rented out fucking rooms. At one point, in the very beginning, right? I got water boiling there. In the very beginning, when I was just had at Brooks, just a baby, I rented a fucking townhouse, okay? That's when I tried to I registered my first business, people. Uncle John was with me. I had the fire department, the police department, everybody come through my fucking townhouse, checking everything to make sure everything was A-okay, so I could register a legitimate company with a under 1-year-old baby. Okay? Me, myself and I did that. As I rented out 2 rooms in that townhouse. And I lived there, I don't know, a couple of years anyway. And because they were poor people on welfare, right, mainly, right? Poor people tend to attract poor people, okay? Social services called that place the revolving door because of the numbers of people moving in and out. Because, again, poor people, whatever, they're not, young, just, they bounce around, do stupid shit, right? One was stealing from me. That's when I told my mother, when my mother was alive, let me turn off this water. That's when my mother was alive. I told my mother, I said, Mom, I swear this fucking girl's stealing from me. I don't know what to do. She said, let me come over. I said, okay. So she came over, and you know what she did? She went upstairs into that woman's room, and she seen big-ass black garbage bags piled up all over the place. Because I'm too nice, right? I wouldn't do it. But my mother grabbed those fucking garbage bags and just started emptying them out on the fucking bed. And do you know, after she was done doing that shit, I had my own fucking garbage bag of my own shit that bitch was stealing from me. I tell my kids, I have rented out rooms before you were even born. Well, who are you going to rent it to, Ken? Let me tell you something about Ken. When we first moved into this house, okay, I had Uncle John, Auntie Joan, Marcane, ShaMay, Tisha, myself. Sierra wasn't really in the mix yet, right? Brooks had kind of moved on by that point. But soon after I moved in, Sierra got pregnant, and of course I chased her down. I encouraged her to keep the baby, not to abort the baby, because all her fucking goon friends were encouraging her to abort the baby, and I'm like, no, you just come home, and, right, and I'll help you through it, and anyway, Sierra managed to have a healthy baby, okay, and of course she moved in, but I still had 1 extra room downstairs, okay, and because I was working on the nonprofit, people, okay, I don't like to cast judgment based on past experiences. In other words, I've worked with old people, poor people. This video is longer than I expected, but I'm so angry right now because my kids have absolutely no fucking appreciation for me and very little respect. And they won't let me live my own life until I'm gone. Right? It would be different if I was being irresponsible and the rent wasn't getting fucking paid. But the rent always, before anything else, gets paid. Anyway, I had this extra room, right? I don't judge people just because they're poor, right? I wanted to rent it out. I wanted to continue working and promoting on the nonprofit, give back to society, whatever. So I went to the homeless shelter. I didn't pick and choose. I didn't study. I didn't cast judgment. I said, I have a room to rent. People approached me. I said, okay, you get the room. And that was it. All right? Anyway, the young man moved in. It turned out his history was, obviously he had addiction, right? And by this time, Sierra's in the house, right? On methadone and doing whatever, right? So anyway, he had cancer in his stomach, so he said. You know, he had quite a few prescription drugs, like a whole packet full. Doctors were giving him a whole fucking packet of prescription drugs, right? He had a really tough life in terms of spending most of his time in jail because of whatever. I mean, obviously he wasn't in jail at that time, right? He was now living in my basement. And, you know, don't forget, we had Uncle John and Auntie Joan running around with her mental illness. It was okay for Joan to be on 15 fucking psychotic pills and Oxycontin and all this other crap and do what Auntie Joan was doing, but it wasn't okay for Ken to be a little whatever. Point is, he lived with us, I think almost for a year. He did steal a couple of things. He stole my camera, the Sony camera that I bought for the kids for the nonprofit. He did steal that. Maybe a few other minor things he stole. But outside of that, he paid his rent, you know. He did a few things in the yard, right? But what stands out the most, people, is that he thanked me when he was leaving, that I had given him the opportunity that he never had before to stay out of fucking jail for as long as he did while he lived with us. Now, of course, my kids, they don't understand any of that, right? They just, what are you gonna do, rent it to another Ken? And then I remind my kids that Marcane had somebody come in, try to help him out, and he ended up being just another Ken with his issues, right? So it's like I can't rent out the room even though they're moving out unless I get permission that who my tenant is, after I scrutinize the shit out of them, gets their approval. And then maybe, just maybe, they'll leave me alone and let me live my life, being that they don't even fucking live at home anymore. And I remind them, I have rented out rooms before. So anything that you're trying to throw at me, it's not like I don't know. Right? Well, who are you going to rent it to? I said, well, maybe I'll rent it to a couple. Whatever. Or, you know, if it's such an issue with ShaMay's room being slightly bigger versus the smaller room, I'll lower the rent for the smaller room by $100. Right? If it's that much of an issue. Instead of $6, pay $5. I'll cover the fucking $100, because right now, as of today, I'm trying to figure out how I can cover the full $600 and not have anybody move in, because I want to take that fucking room and turn it into something like a small office where I can actually make some money out of it and sort out my fucking life without my stupid kids. Because my kids don't want to help me. They just want to bitch at me. Well, you can't do that. No. What are you just going to run into another Ken? You say you're going to do, but you never do it. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's not like you're fucking helping. Right? You need like 25 arms in order just to get shit done by yourself. So I pace myself, so that eventually I can leave this house and leave it in a better state than when I found it, in terms of whoever moves in after I move out is going to love this yard. I am in a position this year, people, that I can plant fucking food and help to feed the neighborhood without a fucking nothing, no investment other than what's already here. I have the seeds, I have the dirt, I have it all. I just have to plant the seeds. And then my kids will be bitching on me. Oh, well, you're just growing food to give it away. Why are you wasting your time? Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe I gave a young man a fucking year without having to worry about being in fucking jail, and he actually appreciated me. He actually appreciated, yeah, sure, he took a few things, whatever. He wasn't the perfect person on the fucking planet. But I sure in the hell didn't cast judgment on him simply because he was poor and homeless. Right? You know? So anyway, that's my situation. I try not to think about it, right? Like I said, I've rented out rooms before. So if my kids really don't want to be supportive of what I need to do in order to sort out my own life, they can fucking move on. I'm not stopping them, right? You see, that's the thing about what happens when people are like ripped away from you through medical kidnappings or illegal child apprehension or through fucking death and murder and that kind of shit, right? You know, you get these huge gaps within your family where the family comes completely fucking disconnected and are just like zoned in on a me, you, me, you, me with confusion in terms of where do you go forward as a family when in fact people should be building their own lives. So I am not stopping my children from building onto their own lives. What's happening is they try and stop me from building onto or at least finishing out my life. And it makes me crash, people. It makes me fucking crash and I just, because I'm struggling enough as it is. I don't like being 2 years behind in the yard because I'm the only one basically that's been towing the line. But I still have a good attitude about finishing the yard this year. Okay? And I'm determined to do it. But I'm not going to be sacrificing my food storage just so I can get an extra $100 in fucking rent as somebody else is lording over me, telling me I'm still not good enough. Like, I'm done. So I don't know. It's not going to happen for a little while yet. We're just mentally preparing for this shift. Right? So this is a good time to build up the PeepsFashion channel over the next course of the year and a half. Whether I use that smaller room and pay the rent myself because I don't have to buy groceries, we'll just say for example, right? Or whether I rent it out to somebody else with or without my kids being around remains to be seen. It's just something that I have to go through, like, all the fucking time. Right? And this is why when my grandmother died and took me up to heaven and showed me where she was living, ended on this note. Right? And said, this is where I'm going to be now, Judy. Right? Don't worry, everything is fine. Your grandma's fine. She told me, I'm not living with all my kids. I said, you're not? She said, nope. This is my house. This is where I'm living now, because she died, right? This is on the night she died. She took me up to heaven, okay? And she showed me, and she specifically told me, I am not living with all my kids. And do you know I draw great satisfaction on that, people, in terms of, well, when my time comes, just trust me, you're not going to be living with me in the afterlife either, because fuck this shit. And I know that my grandmother went through this stuff herself. I'm not the only one. Lots of people. But the thing is now, they're being abandoned. The elderly are being completely abandoned in these freaking long-term care homes and all these other places that the government's got locked down like a dirty secret in terms of what the hell is going on behind closed doors. And that is so sad. Because their children are not fighting for their moms and their dads, and they're not fighting, they're just letting the government do what they want with these old people. So, you know, that's kind of like the same situation that I'm in, only is not as dire yet. When you don't want the old person anymore, just lock them up in a fucking care home and throw away the key and never look back. For as much as people want to tell other people how to live their lives and then say, I love you. Loving me in my ass. No. You're 28 years old. Get the fuck out. Okay? You know what I'm saying? You don't like living there. You want to bully me around, whatever. Just move. I'm sure and I told this to Tisha, out of 5.2 million people, don't tell me there's not somebody in fucking 5.2 million people that would love to have that room. that would love to be able to rent that room out of 5.2 million people in this fucking economy that we are forced to live in now. And that's with security, people. Right? It's not just a 1-month lease. It's security. So anyway, I unplugged the phone. I'm trying to have a good day. Okay? So PeepsFashion is there. All right? We know what's going on, right? Bubbling under the surface in regards to where do we put the fabric? Where do we put the food storage? Who's moving in? Who's moving out? Right? Is the yard going to get done this year? Right? You know? Yeah, right? It would be great if I could take that room and turn it into an actual office and claim it and start a legitimate home-based business again. Make the attempt again, right? But I don't know. We'll see.